All right, if committee members will take their seats, we'll get started. I've got 1:30. Representative Underwood, you ready to go? Can anybody hear me?
I hear you. Yes, I'm here.
All right, let's get started. I know we've got a couple that had to be out, and certainly this committee certainly joins everyone in prayer for our Judge Matt Friday, and very critical time for him. So certainly want to keep him in our prayers. Ms. Harper, if you'll call the roll.
Representative Reynolds.
Here.
Representative Blackshear.
Here.
Representative Hall.
Here.
Representative Bracy.
Here.
Representative Easterbrook.
Here.
Representative Givens.
Here.
Representative Lamb.
Here.
Representative Lee. Representative McCampbell. Representative Mooney. Representative Sorrells.
Here.
Representative Sells.
Here.
Representative Underwood.
I'm here.
Representative Warren. Representative Witt.
Here.
11 uniforms.
Thank you. Go ahead and call the first bill on the calendar.
House Bill 227 by Representative Betzel, firefighters to limit the post-retirement qualifying period for benefits for certain occupational diseases.
Welcome, Representative Bedsoe, and we've got HB 227 as amended. If I recall, we had our public hearing last week, and I don't know if everybody was here. If there's somebody that wasn't here, we'll ask him to go through it. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to proceed. Got a motion? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Your bill receives a favorable report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, sir. Next bill on the calendar, Ms. Harper.
House Bill 556 by Representative Treadaway, retired law enforcement officers, employment of certain retired law enforcement officers further provided for.
Chairman Treadaway.
Okay, most of you remember we moved the pay that an officer could make to be an SRO because we had shortages throughout the state in rural Alabama and other places. It's worked as we planned. We filled a lot of these schools with school resource officers, but we had an adverse impact on higher ed because most of them left higher ed because they were locked in at a much lower amount that they could make, and they moved into the schools. So what this bill does will extend this to any state, college, university without the suspension of their retirement allowance, not to exceed $52,000. In addition, it moves the sunset from 2026 to 2030.
Any questions from committee members? I have a motion, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Approved?
Wow, I love this committee. Thank you.
The committee receives a favorable report. I appreciate your work on this legislation, Chairman. I really do. It's very important, and I know I've sent you a lot of phone calls and messages I've received from all over Alabama about the number of particularly small communities that couldn't afford to hire SROs, and because of this, I have put SROs in our classrooms.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, yep. Thank you. The next bill, Ms. Harper.
House Bill 543 by Representative Brown to amend 40-9-1, increasing the market value threshold amount for which tangible personal property is exempt from state ad valorem taxation.
Chairman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, this is House Bill 543. And what this does is it raises the threshold on personal property taxes for businesses from $40,000 to $100,000. And it also has a local option that local cities and counties can apply that same option to them as well, the exemption.
Right. Ms. Hall.
I move we give the bill a favorable report.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bill receives a favorable
I
report.
second. This is my favorite committee.
Thanks, sir. The wheels can come off at any time. Next bill, Ms. Harper.
Bill 542 by Representative Shaver, District Attorneys, Prosecutors, Office of Prosecution Services Attorneys, retirement benefits and allowances further provided for. Membership of District Attorneys Plan expanded, participation in supernumerary program, and employees retirement system further provided for.
Representative Shaver, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe almost everyone has a copy of the amended version, but maybe some do not. Easterbrook, do you have a copy of the amended version with the stricken? Yeah. You do?
And just for the committee, if I might, there's been a lot of concern about portions of this piece of legislation. She's been working on it for a couple weeks now, and just felt like that all parties involved, that it's still a good piece of legislation. We need to slow it down and make sure that everybody's got time to work on it. So her bill will be a significant change to what you have in front of you today. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. The original bill started out dealing with other issues about DA retirement and assistant DAs, but we've struck those portions. That's what the amendment did. So the amended copy that you have shows that, and if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll just speak to the amended version that just deals with the supernumerary issue with the DAs.
Okay, we've got the amendment on the table, and go ahead and discuss the amendment.
Currently, district attorneys who have independently vested in the ERS, the Employees Retirement System, and have separate years of service and are for that, and then also they're vested under the supernumerary program, they cannot draw the ERS retirement that they qualified for. And so this bill would allow the 11 district attorneys, 7 of those who have been supernumerary status and 4 who are currently serving as DAs. They're vested in both separate years of service. It's not double dipping. Those years were not counted, for one. They're counted separately so that they can draw both.
Correct.
And, Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I do have the amendment I'd like to offer.
Chairman Witt.
Yeah, so basically, what Representative Shaver said, but in a nutshell there, we are striking pages 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and that's it. That I will offer the amendment.
But basically, everything except the supernumerary.
That's correct,
Correct.
yes.
RFA.
Everything
That's right.
from the
And-
second motionary.
Have a motion? Have a second? Second? All in favor, say aye. So now we have it as amended, HB 542 as amended, back on the bill. Anybody have any questions?
Make a motion.
Have a motion, second. All in favor, say aye. Bill receives a favor report. Ms. Hall?
I'd like to make a comment. Over the years, ever since I've been here, we've been dealing with this issue of supernumerary.
We
So, it's good to hear that we may be at the end of it, that you're ending that process. So thank you very much for the work that you've done. I
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Thank you,
Good work.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you. Let me make a quick comment before we move into Representative Shaw's bills here. Again, you've been working very hard with all the groups and organizations, and I feel like we probably at the call of the chair or one of the members, we would want to carry over at least HB 482 and HB 484. I think we've had some discussion about the blockchain working group that may need to spend some time through that. Once we have comments today, I'll kind of follow the committee and see where you want to go, whether we want to move the 483 or not. So we'll wait and see. And certainly I encourage you. This is a new topic. So welcome, Representative Shaw. This is a new topic here. We want to have some conversations today about it and just make sure that we're heading down the right path.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You said a minute ago the wheels might come off. Hopefully I'm not that wheel that's about to,
Right,
about to
right.
fly off the cart, so to speak. But what's that? Okay, we're solid then. Well, first we were looking at HB 482. This is authorizing the state treasurer to invest in crypto. It's also known as a strategic reserve bill. It's not called that, but that's typically around the nation what they're calling. It lets the treasurer invest strategically, and I hesitate to use the invest. It lets them purchase strategically cryptocurrencies and crypto assets. Texas, Utah, Oklahoma, and New Hampshire have passed a similar bill out of one house. Ohio, this bill is very much modeled after Ohio. I've had some really good conversations with several members of the committee expressing some concerns, but that's it in a nutshell. It allows the treasurer to invest a certain amount in certain types of cryptocurrencies and crypto assets.
Questions or conversations?
What crypto assets are we talking about?
Bitcoin, Ethereum, things like that, or the ETFs that trade in those currencies. So, and a lot of states have limited it to just approved funds that can invest on behalf of the investor.
Isn't that pretty risky for the state to be invested?
It could be. Yeah, and by the way, so I keep using the word investment, but again, it's strategic reserve is more, it's not strategic investment as much as it is a strategic opportunity to plan for the future. So you don't want to put huge amounts. But we talked about in caucus, we talked about the possible instability of currency down the road. We don't know what's going to happen with the dollar. It puts the option in the treasurer's hand, if he sees fit, to invest and put money in some of these currencies as a hedge or, again, as a strategic plan. It just authorizes it, doesn't require it. So if the treasurer in the future saw an opportunity that would work for his strategy, his or her strategy, that would be why that would be allowed.
Representative Sales.
Did you say it would allow them to invest up to a certain amount?
In this bill, up to 10% of a fund that they're investing in. And several ways this could be tweaked. One way would be to lower that, maybe dramatically lower that. Another thing would be to remove some of the things that are a little more edgy, like custodian of a crypto. That might be a little too much for the state to handle. So it might limit it just to an ETF or ETP, something that's more controlled by federal law. You can also crank that percentage down a lot lower.
Okay, thank you for the information.
Representative Witt.
Thank you. And Representative Shaw, thank you for the comments and our conversations yesterday. I do want to open up to the committee my concerns regarding getting involved or investing in cryptocurrency. As we talk, what you and I, the largest cryptocurrency we would consider Bitcoin, correct? December the 31st, 2024, committee members, it was valued at $93,429. January the 23rd, it was valued at January the 23rd, 2025, it hit 103,000. On April the 8th, it was back down to 77,371. My problem is I think Treasurer Boozer, in the conversations I've had with him, is that he would not utilize this. And I think you've got up to 10%. That's something we certainly, in my opinion, would need to work on. And I think Treasurer Boozer is one of the most conservative state treasurers, and he's an example for the nation, in my opinion. My concern is what comes down the road 10 years now from a state treasurer, or 20 years. What is that state treasurer's investment? What does his look like? So I completely understand the ability that you're wanting to diversify your portfolio to get the highest rate of return, but I don't want to risk the state's money. As you know, when states deposit money into banks and financial institutions, by the way, they don't have anything with my company, they deposit the money and then they have to pledge their bond portfolio, basically. So the state would be made whole in the event that the bank went out or something of that nature. If you deposited $50 million, they'd liquidate their assets, and we have to pledge against that. So my concern is that I see this as an investment, in a very volatile area that many of us know nothing about. So, but I certainly do appreciate you working on it, and I certainly appreciate you trying to educate us and work through this process. But I do think 10% is too high. I also had in the bill marked, as you talked about, a qualified custodian, and then that the state treasurer may loan the digital assets acquired as an investment under this section to bring further returns. Does that concern you too, Representative Shaw?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I appreciate your perspective 100%, because, I
Sure.
by day live in a world where we have very similar concerns. So I think this was written to give maximum flexibility, but we're currently blessed with a very conservative treasurer, and we've elected a very conservative treasurer. But I understand completely. Down the road, we might want to put some controls in there, really limit that in. That obviously takes substantial, reworking of some of these things.
Yeah. But I do appreciate Representative Shaw and his conversations and the work that he has done in this area for the body. But I would recommend that we would carry this bill over 482.
I got a
Be my
motion to carry over.
recommendation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
HB 482 will be carried over. Oh, you have a question?
No. I said no, you.
Oh, okay. Ms. Harper, call the next bill.
House Bill 483 by Representative Shaw, virtual currency declares preemption of virtual currency or cryptocurrency regulation by the legislature and exempts virtual currency from ad valorem tax.
I see the state auditor back there, Andrew Sorrell. I think the first time this committee heard this was, I think probably 2019, right? 2021, okay. Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you
Shaw.
again. And this is exactly the same bill from a few years ago. It basically codifies what's already taking place, from the ruling from Revenue IRS rules, things like that. We'd actually, I went to the Senate hearing on the companion bill this morning. They heard this one and found out about 30 seconds beforehand that I was going to be presenting in that committee. And it worked pretty well because they passed it out of Senate committee for consideration. But why is this needed? A lot of states don't have property tax, so it's hard to look at like Florida or other places that might have done something like this. They don't have property tax that would cover digital assets. I think this provides legal clarity, regulatory certainty for, I think, roughly 20% of Alabamians own crypto assets of some sort. Gives them some certainty about the future. Also signals to the world that we're looking at crypto and we're implementing policy through legislation, not just rulemaking.
And currently, it's not considered in Alabama's tangible property, right? So it's not subject to the tax.
Yeah,
We just clarifying.
not subject to ad valorem. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I make a motion.
Have a motion? Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, HB 483 receives a favorable report.
Okay, thank you.
So tell the Senate we passed it too.
All right, yeah. Don't let the cool kids out.
Next bill, Ms. Harper. Next bill, Ms. Harper.
House Bill 484 by Representative Shaw, public blockchain, creation of inclusion of certain state expenditures.
Representative Shaw.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you again for the third time. And again, thank you, Mr. Chair, for putting these on the agenda. I know it's a little edgy to consider this and gets a lot of attention, sometimes not the kind you want, but I thank you for this consideration. So this is, in a nutshell, the public blockchain is a shared data store out there in the world. Some discussion at the federal level of putting federal transactions on a blockchain, and this would require the state to do the same thing. It's very similar to an open records approach. It's just pretty much a different way of publishing the transactions out to the public. When I first thought of this, I thought nobody else was doing anything similar, but I've since found there's a couple states that are doing car titles in a very similar way. So there's kind of some underlying technology that could be utilized, but after talking with finance and some other people, we got to slow this train down a little bit so people can hop on and do a little more research on it, I think. But I've gotten a lot of good questions about it, and I think it's something that we can definitely look at in the future. I think it'll enhance transparency, and I think if we implement it, you can save some money too, because the blockchain, you don't have to host the website and all that other stuff. So, but.
Questions from the committee? Representative Witt.
Yeah, again, I'd like to thank you again for working in this area, but I would request that we carry this bill over as well.
Okay, we'll hold that request and continue questions.
All right, thank you.
Representative Lee.
Quick question on something like this. We go through an extreme amount of cost with our local bill cost. Is that something that this could be used for this?
Local bill, what? I'm sorry?
Local bills, the advertising for local bills.
Absolutely.
Is this something?
So the value in this, without getting too geeked out about it, is it puts all the information out there in a readable way, and then third parties can analyze it. And so like the blockchain for crypto right now, there's no one authority to go to for that. People make websites that read the blockchain. So it'd be the same thing. That information is out there. The blockchain that's being used in other states is called Avalanche, which I'm just now reading up on. But yeah, you could put anything out there. You could put car titles, you could put land titles. It's a way of, but yeah, you could put meeting announcements, all part of that in a way you wouldn't have to, I don't want to upset some of our local press, but in a way that you wouldn't have to advertise in newspapers, so.
I thought you were avoiding it. That's why I asked.
Yeah, well. I'll get some
But
calls
very
now.
secure, right? Blockchain is very secure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why it works. And really, people talk about, is it backed by, that's one of the things that backs, crypto and things like that, is the security of the network, the security of the technology underlying it.
Right.
I second Representatives.
Okay. And I think there's a work group, right? I see Amanda Seen out there. There's a work group, blockchain work group. Am I saying that right? Okay, okay, good, good. So
Yeah, and I'm part of
continue-
that work group as well.
Okay, great, great. Just continue to work with them. So I've got a motion and a second to carry it over. You have a question, Ms. Hall?
Right, I didn't see the work group, but I did see the information, the strategic plan. So your work group is creating the strategic plan.
So under the bill, there would be a strategic plan created. I think OIT is involved with that. This work, OIT, Office of Information Technology. But the work group is completely separate. It was formed last year. I think we wrap up the beginning of next year. Okay. Is that, I'm sorry, is that what you're referring to?
Right, so is that, when is that report due? Does that come, does the report come to the legislature, or does it go to, okay.
2026, start the legislature next year.
Thank
And
you.
I've already talked with Senator Albritton, who chairs that, about possibly looking at these specific things and what we can study and look at what the feasibility is.
Thank you.
Very good. Back to the motion to carry over. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? We'll carry it over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Greg.
If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Thank you.